An amazing run, impressive sprint. Ethiopia's Almaz Ayana 10,000 meters performance was simply epic. Ethiopian athletics fans were left unprepared for the golden surprise.
My joy has no limit. It's been a very exciting race. I wish to see more good results.
It was very special. We watched the race together with my family. Everyone was happy to see the final result. She was very confident from the beginning to the end.
Almaz Ayana has also found her name in history books for not only smashing the world and Olympic records at the same time, but also for the first world record for athletics in Brazil Olympics from Africa. Ethiopian first gold medal in Rio managed to shatter record set in 1993 by a Chinese athlete.
What she used as a strategy and power at the end of the race was so fantastic. I knew she would break the record even when she was left with the last round.
In Friday's race, the world-famous Turunesh Dibaba has managed to get bronze for her country. And that was her fourth Olympics participation with medals in all of them. Finishing at 29 minutes 17:45 at the Rio Olympics 10,000 meters, Almaz Ayana broke the world and Olympic record in more than 14 seconds. That unusual track execution has made people here think that she might repeat the same victory in the upcoming 5,000 meters race too. Group Tala CCTV, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Well, now for more on this and the Olympic Games, we can now go live to Celestine Carone, who is in Rio de Janeiro, and she joins us now. Celestine, obviously a good start for the Ethiopians. Was it also a good Friday for the Kenyans as well?
Well, definitely, Mahia. Almaz Ayana set the bar very high as far as track and field goes. And some are even predicting that will probably be the performance of the competition as far as events on the track goes. But still early days, we are yet to see many more runners coming through. But of course, Ethiopia were in celebration mode the whole night. We even had time to go to the athletes' village later after that race, but even she couldn't come out to speak to us. And she said she's just tired and she was a bit overwhelmed. But I think for Kenya, it was a bit of a bittersweet day, because when you look at how Kenyans ran that race, Alice Aprot running a personal best, you have Vivian Cheriot running a national record, although they all settled for lesser medals. That is Vivian, of course, winning the silver medal. It was a bit disappointing for Vivian. She was very inconsolable after the race, because at 32 years of age, she feels like this is the Olympics, or rather the last chance for her to get a gold medal on the track. Remember, she has silver already. Now she has 2 silvers in the Olympics long distance. Then she has a bronze from 2012. So it was a bit disappointing for Team Kenya. But when you look at the other competitions from day one of track and field, they did qualify in the women's 1500 meters for the next round. They did qualify in the men's 800-meter race. Of course, Olympic and world record holder David Rudisha leading that onslaught for the 800 meters. There was disappointment, however, as well for Kenya in the 400 meters. None of their runners were able to qualify for the next round. So it was a very bittersweet day, like I said, because when you look at how Almaz Ayana ran, especially in that 10,000 meters, to beat it would have been producing something even more magnificent than that. So I think Kenyans were accepted the situation they found themselves in, Maya.
Well, Celestine, obviously the athletics are well and truly underway. What should we expect on Sunday, keeping in mind that you did tell us that Almaz Ayana was the one to look out for yesterday?
Before we get to Sunday, Maya, quickly later on in the afternoon session here at the Olympics, there is the 10,000-meter men's final. That is another race that has a lot of people interested, because remember, in 2012, the so-called East African powerhouse of Ethiopia and Kenya did lose the titles to Mo Farah from Great Britain. And so there's a lot of expectation that this is the year when they can actually win back that particular title. Ethiopia in particular, because they have dominated this particular race since the 2004 Olympic Games. And so there is a lot of expectation that Can they match what Almaz Ayana did? Well, that is a question we'll just have to see, an answer to that we'll have to find out later on when the race takes on. You talk about Sunday. We are on Monday, on Sunday in the morning, we'll be on the road for the women's marathon. And of course, there is a lot of expectation again that it is an Ethiopian versus Kenya competition. Ethiopia is led by Rio de Janeiro, the world champion over the distance, while Kenya is led by London Marathon winner from 2016, Jemima Sumgong. But they are a bit worried and concerned about the weather. We got to speak to the girls. Kenya's hunt for an elusive Olympics marathon gold in the women's race continues on Sunday, where the team of 3 runners line up at Sambordromo for the start.
That to me can mean a bit of pressure, but we are here as a team and we will do our best to deliver the medals for Kenya.
I feel there is enough experience, and actually experience to me sometimes it depends on how you will wake up during the day, and if God has said this is your day, it will be.
The race is expected to once again be dominated by East Africans, with reigning world champion Rio de Janeiro of Ethiopia among the favourites.
We have our own game plan, but we have champion Dibaba, Tufa, Tsegaye, the Bahrain lady, as well as someone from Turkey who are Kenyans, so it will be a tough competition.
Kenyan marathoners have, however, been criticised often for success in big city races and not championships. 2-time Kenyan Olympic marathon silver medalist Catherine Dereba has some words of advice for the runners.
They should settle their mind, that having in mind that this is not where we are looking for world record or anything else. It is about medal. So they should make sure that they learn economically as much as they can to be able to be in the medal bracket.
The weather also plays a factor during championship marathon races, with high temperatures predicted for Sunday in Rio.
I will tell them to keep hydrating well before the race, because if it's humid, there'll be a problem.
The marathon route in the Rio Olympics will have little elevation, but it will be characterized by a number of loops.
A lot of turning, which involves a lot of tactics, because your legs gets very tired because you're turning one way.
A new champion will be crowned in the women's marathon on Sunday after Tiki Gelana of Ethiopia, the defending champion, wasn't selected to represent her country. Each of the 100 or so women who will take to these streets will be hoping that 4 years of preparations will be enough to hand them that title. Celestine Karone, CCTV at the Rio Olympics.
Well, that was earlier. We were speaking to CCTV's Celestine Karone. She is in Rio de Janeiro and will be covering all the Olympic Games action for us in Rio de Janeiro. Well, here in studio, I'm now joined by former Kenyan athlete and sports marketing consultant Martin Kaino. Martin, thank you for joining us once again. Obviously, yesterday we saw something incredible happen in the 10,000 meters. You, as a former athlete, having ran, in the early stages of a race, is it something you can tell that this athlete's actually going for the world record? Is it something that comes along later in the race?
Absolutely. I think you can definitely tell if athletes are on world record pace based on how fast they're running, if their times match the current record, if they're going. And as yesterday, of course, Addis Ababa of Kenya set out on a torrid pace, which basically set the tone for the world record, basically, for the race. And so, yeah, it was determined early on. For sure.
Right. Now, obviously, the women's 10,000 record, that record that we saw broken yesterday, has stood since 1993. I mean, is this a normal thing for it to last that long, or is it something that maybe like in swimming, we're seeing more records falling?
To be honest, the women's 10,000 meter world record was long overdue to be broken. 23 years standing, it was just a matter of time before it came down. I believe that the women's 10,000 and 10,000 meters in general have been kind of dead outside championships. There aren't too many opportunities to run fast in the 10,000 meters anymore.
Right.
So this was long overdue, and you will see many more records coming through. But this was the longest standing record in the books now.
And finally, Martin, obviously there's been a lot of talk about Kenya's run up to the Olympics, their performance at the Olympics. We've seen coaches kicked out of the games. Can Kenya use these Rio Olympic Games to redeem the image of the sport in Kenya?
Absolutely. I believe that the athletes have prepared very well, and you'll see it. You'll start seeing their performances shine. It's really unfortunate that some of the officials have let Kenya down, that they have sort of tarnished our name at the Olympics. But the athletes are ready, and we'll see a lot of the gold medal performances, a lot of medal-winning performances coming through from here on out.
And finally, I'll just add in another question. Why is it that we hear so much of these doping questions in track and field and maybe not so much in swimming? Maybe this comes out later on. Why is it so concentrated on the track?
Well, there's a lot of high-profile performances out of athletics, a lot out of track and field that you're now starting to hear that people are, taking the risk to dope. It's really unfortunate for the sport. However, it's prevalent in most of other sports. It's just that track and field and athletics, particularly here in Kenya and in Africa, that we've been so dominant that people are always going to be skeptical or cynical. That there's going to be a spotlight whenever there's some positive doping tests in the sport. So you will hear a lot of that, particularly given the success that we've had. Other countries have been successful in swimming, and maybe it's not as exciting or not as visible as athletics is.
Indeed. Yes. It's probably also the quantity of events in athletics as well.
Indeed. I mean, we have plenty of sports and plenty of very high-profile events, like literally from the sprints to the marathon. That there aren't there.
A lot more to choose from.
Indeed.
All right. Exactly. Martin Keino, thank you for joining us. That was a former Kenyan athlete and sports marketing consultant, Martin Keino, joining us here in studio.